In any moment, the executive branch, the government, can take over, undermining the role of the Knesset and the courts. And this is a huge danger for democracy, and we were the first one to stand up and say, wait, a state of emergency and emergency regulation cannot take over all the democracy.
There are huge demonstrations going on throughout the country because of the political crisis from before Corona and since, and because of the reaction to the Corona crisis.
חופש הביטוי וחופש ההפגנה זה אחד הדברים היחידים שנותרו לנו כאזרחים ללכת ולעשות ולהביע את מורת רוחנו על איך שהשלטון מתנהל, ובעצם להשמיע את הקול שלנו בתור העם, בתור האזרחים, במדינה שהיא דמוקרטית.
If you take away our freedom of expression and our freedom of movement, then it's not a democracy.
The task of a human rights organization in the midst of a crisis is a watchdog and a protector from those who want to weaken democracy and the rule of law.
אתה ראית את הקטנים שלי מקודם, הנכדים, מדברים על ההפגנות. הערך הכי חשוב שהם יבינו שהם שווים, שיש להם משמעות לעובדה שאם יש להם מה להגיד, יש להם את האופציה ללכת ולהגיד את זה. זה ערך חשוב, שגם ילדים קטנים שעוד לא מבינים כלום, הם יודעים, אנחנו שווים.
At the end of June, when the numbers start rising again, and we had a second wave starting, the government passed a legislation that allowed the use of the Shin Bet to track people with COVID-19 and everybody that was in close contact with them.
This means that I can be walking down the street, and if I walk past someone who later will be found to have had corona, that I might get a message from the Ministry of Health that I need to self-quarantine for 14 days.
Another very extreme tool that was given was allowing the police to receive data from the cellular companies to know the location of everyone that was quarantined.
On the face of it, during the crisis, it seemed maybe to most people like a good idea, but it's obviously a slippery slope and it has grave implications for democracy. Not to mention that there have been many, many mistakes and many people have been sent to self-quarantine that were never in the place that they were told they were. There's a slew of other implications for using this technology.
Widening the powers of the security services to get involved in a civil health crisis is very dangerous. It's turning Israel to a surveillance regime that we don't want to live in and is in contradiction to basic values of a democracy and freedom.
If you become a country that's using mass surveillance tools, people know the government can know where they are, where they were, who they were meeting with, and totally invading our privacy, then there is no democracy.
Approving the secret security to track civilians for a civil crisis sets a precedent for whatever the next crisis may be. It's not that other countries aren't fighting corona using technology, they are, but they're not doing it in the same manner. We need to find a balance between the authorities and fighting the crisis and preserving basic human rights and democracy. And it's not black and white, and it's not easy, but that's exactly why it's so important that we're here to call out when we see that this is a blatant infringement of human rights and civil rights.